Namaste ji, namaste. So when I'm shooting this, the DLLB 2020 has just taken place, and it's been a lot of disappointment for a lot of people, and a lot of upset souls are there. So let's try to figure out what we need to do now to calm ourselves, to deal with this post-exam anxiety and post-exam stress, and then pick up the pieces and move on with life, right? First and foremost, music. Music uplifts, music has that power. Whatever the kind of music that you're listening to, if it is extremely depressive, well, you'll get more depressed. So don't listen to extremely depressive music. Also, this is no new thing that has happened. Even in this year or whichever year that you're watching in this end, with whatever exam that you have taken and now you're feeling disappointed, this happens almost every year with the AILT exam specifically, and every year a lot of students get very disturbed after the exam because they put in a lot of work and then the result isn't exactly up to the mark. We'll get to that point as well. So point number one, do not listen to ultra depressive music at this stage. I'm sure enough, I mean, you have full right. Preamble में तो लिखा ना, liberty, thought expression, belief, faith, worship. Walks, try walks. I kid you not, it works. Try to get some sunshine, try to get some fresh air, try to walk it out. Walking is quite an underrated thing, especially in the days and age of iPads and laptops. Try to go for a walk. Try not to have music, at least during that time. Listen in to the sound of the birds, listen in to the trees, listen in to the sound of the wind. It will actually help you calming down. Alright, and try to do this for 10-15 minutes. It will help you find calming down. Thirdly, workout. If you're fond of working out, well then you work out, because workout actually reduces a lot of stress. Alright. So ये आप काम कर सकते हैं. Fourth, always remember. So this year I'll give you a very real life example. One of my students who was supposed to be in the top 10, and this my offline batch already knows he's going to now appear in the next year. What happened with him was that he was not very tech savvy. Rather, he's not very tech savvy, and he got his form filled up by a cyber cafe guy. And when he went to download his admit card, he found out that his form had been filled in the UG category, whereas in the LLB in DU happens in PG. And I kid you not, he knew more polity and more current affairs than I ever did. And he would have aced this exam for sure, even after the kind of questions that they've asked in the DU LLB 2020. He would have been in the top 5 or top 10 if luck had it that way. But this is also what happens. Another student got COVID positive about 2 days before the exam. Another student lost her father, I believe, about 2 weeks prior to the exam. So a lot of bad things happen to a lot of good people. तो इसलिए आपका गम, मतलब आप अकेले नहीं हैं, बहुत सारे ऐसे लोग हैं जिनके साथ बहुत कुछ हो रखा है. At least you guys had the opportunity to take the exam, right? Okay, now you remember the World Cup semi-final. You're not a bad student, or it is not that you didn't put in the right amount of effort. Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, KL Rahul. World Cup semi-final, India versus New Zealand. Got out at 1 run apiece, our top three, and then we eventually lost the match by I think 18 runs, right? So everybody blamed Dhoni at the end, but that doesn't make these three very bad batsmen. So always remember, in a competitive examination, the question paper luck basically has to align with your preparation, right? And if both of them align, well, you made it, right? But trouble is, this alignment takes a while, especially with tough entrance examinations, because you can be prepared all that you want, but then let us say that they don't ask any of that, well, you're stuck. Doesn't mean that you didn't do any preparation, doesn't mean that you are a bad student, doesn't mean that you were reluctant to put in the effort, or you didn't do any hard work. I know many people who may just not make it in spite of putting in n number of hours, right? So remember that when this can happen to these guys, it can happen to all of us, any of us, including me. All right. Then question paper luck is already discussed. 6, go to presumptions. Sometimes what presumptions do is that they help the mind rather in trying to believe, or rather try to accept reality in a more, I would say, agreeable manner. So, for example, just presume that you got terribly ill, you had a very high fever, they didn't allow you in the center. You can even presume, if you're comfortable with this idea, that maybe you were hit with COVID, or maybe one family member, somebody in the house, and they quarantined the entire house, they locked it up, you could never show up at the center. Maybe. Then also you would have to live with this fact, right? So therefore, to reduce, these are all tools for the mind, by the way. Now, if you take them to be anything else, that, oh, that I am trying to give you COVID, it's nothing like that. If you understand, and if you've understood that, maybe try practicing reading comprehensions, may just help. Okay, last point, take less information and less analysis, because that I've seen takes a mental toll, because you'll be like, अरे everyone's saying 90 plus आ रहे हैं मेरे, इसका आंसर ये होना चाहिए था, and when the final things come out, it's basically absolutely ulta. Reduce your post-exam anxiety, you presume things, you work out, you listen to some good music, and you take a stock of your mind. You don't have to cry nights out. Life is much more than an entrance examination, and well, and life is certainly much more than degrees and educational qualifications. But yeah, sure enough, if you really want that, you can come back next year. And I believe now, with a solid amount of experience, you'll be able to crack it very easily. All right, take care. Wishing you all the best. Hope you take very good care of yourself, and then see you very soon. All the best.